Now, we spoke about, we've been talking about a verse in 1 John 4:18, and 1 John 4:18, and that's been our focus. And so today is going to be more application based. It's going to be more to do with a series of questions like we're doing before. But let me always give a summary. Yeah, let's give a summary. So 1 John, as we've discussed, talks about there is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. And so we discussed about multiple things when it comes to love, when it comes to perfect love. What is that state of perfect love? What is fear? And the first thing we realize is fear is the same word. It comes from the word phobia in the Greek, which is where we get our phobia. The word phobia, it's a terror. It is actually, fear is not something negative like we think it is. It is a very positive system that God designed in a man, to show the man that at that very point of moment when you're fearing, there is a thought that is external from who you are, that is attacking you from the outside. So you fearing is not a negative, but it's an alarm system that is telling you that there is a thought in your mind that's not supposed to be there. And so that's the way of God speaking to his people and letting his people know that manage your mind. Manage your mind. At this very moment, there's a thought that is resting in your mind that's not supposed to be in there. And so when these thoughts come in, and these thoughts come in as in through different sources, through different seeds, it could be a word, it could be an action, it could be, but it could be something someone says and so forth. But what we need to know is the original state of a man is a state of love. Man was designed to always be filled with love. He was designed to be surrounded with love. He was designed to be in love. That was the state of a man. No wonder why when we look at the music industry, one of the highest selling musics has to do with love. And these musics that had to do with love and broken hearts and so forth, they sell out real quick, because there's a void in people, because the original state's supposed to be a state of love, but currently there's a void in them because they're not functioning according to that initial state, which is a state of love. And now this verse is telling us that we are in that very state already. You don't need to fight to be in love. You don't need to fight to be in the state of love. It is naturally comes to you. It naturally comes to people to be in love. Now the real battle comes in when we start getting things like insecurities. Then it becomes a battle. Then fear comes in. It becomes a battle. Hatred turns things into a battle. And so all these things are things that are not, or that do not originate from the man, but these are things that are separate from the man. And they are planted by external thoughts that comes from the outside. And so we discussed about this in various ways, and I always like to do going around the circle to ask what do you guys remember from the stuff we've spoken about in the past, we touched into the area of perfect love drives out fear. As a reminder, I'm going to ask again. We're going to start with Earth. Perfect love. Where's your head at when we talk about perfect love?
Maturity in love, in all situations in your life, and how you act to it when situations happen.
Yeah, Sizzle. Perfect love. What comes to mind now?
There's no fear in perfect love.
Yeah. That's all right. Yeah. That's all right. When you hear love, when you hear perfect love, what do you think it means? What does that mean to you? Love. What does love mean to you?
I always try to remember you know, the verse where it say in the scripture that you can't say you love God, but you hate your fellow brother.
Yeah.
So you have to learn, you know, what forgiving fruits of the Spirit is forgiving.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's a good start there. You can't say you love God and not love your brother.
Perfect love is loving without condition, and loving without condition.
Unconditional love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect love is love in self. You got to love yourself before you can love others.
Yeah.
The confidence in yourself is love.
That's true. That's true. You want to us to come back to you?
Yes.
All right. There we go. What do you get from perfect love?
I get a lot from perfect love. Yep. It actually, what I realized is that perfect love actually stops you from reacting to certain things. I don't know how it works, but you actually, once you have love within you and you love yourself first, you sort of realize that you don't need to react to things. I don't know if that's just me, but I didn't have to fight what people said anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that once I fully loved myself, it didn't really matter to me what A, B, and C thought anymore. So, I think. No, I'm not gonna say that, but I think it's one of the best things. It's not the best thing, but love is one of the best things, and because there is actually no fear. Like, I'm not saying that because the Bible verse says that, but you're not scared anymore. You're not worried about this and that, or you feel calm and you feel at peace. Does anyone else want to talk?
I understand what you're saying. I have the reacting thing. I have that problem. I react that, straight away. I'm full of negative energy. I react straight away.
Yeah.
But it's a learning for me that reacting is not so much, the way of actions of showing love, because love is patient and forgiving. So it's been a learning, journey for me to not react but respond with, understanding and, just keep loving.
Yeah. And so we went about this and we actually dug deeper and we said this love that God calls perfect has an attachment of the word maturity to it. And that word perfect, it's something that has been fully grown in the Hebrew and the Greek. It means to be complete. It's a love that's been complete, that's been finished, it's an adult level of love. It's a level of maturity. When God looks down, He says, "Look, this person has perfect love." That is maturity. And so when we look at people in the world and we say, "Look, this person has a beard, this person has so and so forth," we call them mature. But that's not what God calls maturity. He calls maturity when faced in a circumstance, how you act instead of reacting to that very circumstance is what shows us that you've gained a level of high maturity. And so this love that's perfect, that's finished, can even be demonstrated in Jesus' life. Matter of fact, Jesus didn't say He was finished until that very last moment, until He endured all things, until He went through all different trials, and after having overcome all trials, and still loving His enemy, and still willing to die for those who did not love Him, then He was finished. So sometimes we try to get to this level of perfect love by running away from problems, running away from people that are affecting us, running away from that. But matter of fact, God wants us to stay, not in dysfunction, but stay in the position of love. If someone does wrong to you, He wants you to maintain consistency in loving them regardless. If dysfunction is there, disattach yourself from dysfunction. Step back. Reflect. But don't stop loving that person. Because usually what we do is whenever someone hits a nerve, we cut them off. Oh, disappear from my life. I don't want to see you no more. But we will never grow until you face the last problem you failed. Growth requires humans to face and not run. And so that's what perfect love is all about. It is a love that has been fully grown in that specific area, that is fully developed. And so God is telling us, when after going through all these trials in that very area that you're struggling with, after facing all the hatred, after facing all the people spitting at your face and speaking negative to you, you have a choice to decide. Should I love or should I react? Should I act or should I react? And that decision is what's going to determine what level of maturity you have, what level of understanding you have, what level of knowledge you have. Matter of fact, it's the same way we live life, because if someone comes to you and say, I'm an electrician, and you give them a job, and they can't do what the paper, what they were designed to do, what they were paid to do, then we realize that this person may say he is that very thing, but he is not that very thing. Why? It's not determined, being an electrician is not determined by when you say I'm an electrician. It is determined when you're in front of a job. When there's a job to be done, whether you can get the job done or not, that's what determines whether you're qualified or not. Now, some people may say, well, how come there's people with degrees and so forth? I tell you, even in the work industry, you can carry all the degrees you want. And if you cannot apply it, you won't get a job. I guarantee you. Been in the industry for a while. I've watched people that you get all the qualifications you want to get in the world. We're going to say, well done for getting the qualification, but now apply what you know. Let's see what you know. And it's going to be known in that very day when the job comes in and they say, Joe, what do you know? Do you know how to solve this? Do you know how to love? Do you know how to this? At that very moment, you have to apply what you think you know. And you can't be the judge. Now, the world is going to be looking at you. That's when they're going to be the judge over you. And they're going to say, all right, this guy is not just speaking randomly. He knows what he's doing. And it's the same thing with God. He requires us to go through multiple trials to build this state of perfect love, where we've perfected love in this area. And so when fear comes along, now that perfect love is so perfect that it destroys any form of fear that comes in, any form of phobia. If you don't understand what fear is trying to say, any form of terror. Fear of failure is one of the biggest fear people struggle with. People don't want to invest. They don't want to go forward. They don't want to try something new. Why? Because I might fail. And so when you're locked down by these insecurities are heavy laden. These are heavy things you're carrying on your back. Because now your life is not a free life anymore. You're no longer free. That's what Jesus meant when he said you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Because the idea is now, once you know your original state of perfect love, you now have a weapon that can conquer fear. You enjoyed our content? Thank you. If you want more, follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, and our website for more. If you love what we do, support us on Patreon, Subscribestar, Crypto, and all links in the description below. Hey, RCTV, peace out.